Welcome to Herman's Hot Takes. We're back with Eyes of the Dragon. It's me and all my ancestors on the wall. So they're looking over us, helping us out, cheering us on today. All right, so here we go. Eyes of the Dragon, chapters 51 through 60. Very brief summary. We're back to Peter. We are back to Peter. Thomas has just been coronated. Peter's up in the needle, and these 10 chapters are really going to be from Peter's point of view. The first 7 days that he's up in the needle, he fasts, refuses to eat, grieves, goes through the process of why me, this isn't fair, and then focuses. And he comes to the conclusion that Flag has framed him and killed his father, and he formulates a plan. Some plan where he's going to get out of this impenetrable needle, which we learned you can't get out of. They don't even bar the window. It's so high up, and the surface of the tower is so flat that no human can climb it or climb down it. But we know that he's formulating a plan to get out of there and to confront Flag. We don't know what that plan is, but he's got one. He says, I'll probably die. It probably won't work, but I got a plan. So day 8, he decides time to start. And the first thing he does is call in the chief warden, Besson. He says, I've got some things I need. And Besson's like, dude, you're a murderer and scum, and it's not going to happen. And they get into a huge physical fight when Besson questions Peter's authority as a royal. And Besson attacks Peter first, but Peter beats the crud out of him. And after that fight, he uses Besson to enlist Peña's help, to send a letter to Peña. Peter wants to send a letter to Peña, and he wants Peña to give him money to help with requests. If you have money in the needle, you can give it to Besson and the other guards, and they'll do favors for you. And Peter doesn't have any money, but he's like, Peña owes me. I did a huge favor for him. He owes me. And he never says what the favor is, but we know that the favor was that Peter willingly went to trial and gave up his crown for the trial because he knew he was innocent. So he's like, why wouldn't I go to trial? I'm innocent. And he did that for Peña. So he didn't become king, illegally or with a shadow over him. So he's pretty sure Peña's going to give him the money to make it so he can have some things to request. He says he has 2 requests. We don't know what these requests are yet, but he's pretty sure Peña's going to give him the money. We also learn in this chapter that Peña is starting to have doubts about Peter's guilt. Just one small line about, maybe he might be innocent. And he receives Peter's letter, and he's willing to read it because he's like, things are dark. This is a ray of light, he says about the letter. All right, so things to look for. That's the summary, pretty short. I mean, you read it, so you don't need me to go into a lot more detail. All right, things to look for in this chapter. 1, there are a few lines about Thomas, even though he's not a player in these chapters, and about his reign. So after the coronation, people are all out celebrating, having a great time. But on page 162, there is the quote, "Yet through all of this ran a dull yellow thread of unease, as if they realized that all was not well," and the "not" is italicized. So even the people who are super fired up to get back to life as normal, that's why they were so willing to believe Peter did it. They didn't want any complications. They kind of know something's not right. They're like, this is not good. We're going to celebrate, but we kind of know it's not good. It's day 8 of Thomas's reign. They're a week in, and there's the quote on page 178 where Besson says, Besson had already began to view Thomas with a certain contempt. So the people are already like, we don't like this king we don't have any respect for him. 1 week in. That's just a throwaway line that Stephen King writes, and they're like, things aren't going so great for Thomas, even though we don't know what's happening there. And in chapter 57, Peña kind of repeatedly worries about Flag and how Flag is going to control Thomas. So Peña's onto that too. Other things to look for. Numerous times in this chapter, Peter is referred to king or king-like. He gives his instructions like a king. It says, quote, like a king. Besson says that Peter has the look of a king. And when Peter is beating the crap out of Besson and he's just about to pass out, like he's going unconscious because he's been so beaten, he calls Peter my king. And Peña says Peter's letter was written like a true king. He has the 2 lines in the letter that say, the first line of the letter to Peña says, I decided to live. And the last line says, I did not murder my father. And Pena says, this is written like a king. It's not flowery. He doesn't give me any BS. He's not, way up, poor me. He gets right to it. I decided to live and I did not murder my father. So right there, we know Peter is still the true king. Some symbolism alert. We got some weather symbolism coming in here. Authors love to use weather as symbolism. Think back to Gatsby last year. On page 185, there's this line that since the death of Roland, all the nights have been cold. Well, yeah, because evil has taken over the kingdom. Flag, evil, cold. Right there, symbolism. Theme alert. I think there's a theme running through this one. Peter makes the point, after the 7 days, he decides it is better to try than not try, better to make an effort to right the wrong, even if he died trying to do so. So Peter makes that decision that he is going to right this wrong. He's going to try to make things better, to prove his innocence, to get Flag out of Delane. And even if he's going to die, which he probably is, he says, he goes, this plan does not have much of a chance of working. And it's going to take a long time. He says that too. It's going to take a long time and I'm probably going to die, but he's like, I need to do it. And so that wraps in with our themes, our fairy tale tropes. When we talk about, is this a fairy tale or not? Good versus evil kind of thing. But, he's saying you have to do what's right no matter what. You have to do what's right, even if it means you're going to die, even if it's hopeless, even if it's not going to work. You have to do what's right. So there's your theme alert. And that stuff comes all on page 168 if you're looking for it. So there you have it, 50 through 61. We did have a listener question come in. Listener wrote in from Miss Jura's third block from Diego C. The question was asked, why do you have to drink that nasty coffee? Why don't you drink energy drinks instead? Well, Diego C., let me tell you a couple reasons. One, energy drinks, I need more coffee today. Energy drinks taste like trash. They're either too sweet, or the sugar-free ones have a ton of chemicals in them. And, I'm not a health nut by any stretch, but some of those chemicals are pretty questionable. And two, if you just buy normal coffee, like beans, you grind them, you put water over them, it's a lot cheaper than buying those energy drinks. Trust me, I know. I got a kid who lives off Red Bull, one of the children that I raised, and that's a lot of money she spends on those Red Bulls. Stupid. Just buy yourself some beans. And the coffee tastes better. It really does. I promise you. So that, Diego C., is the reason why I will not be switching over to energy drinks. It's coffee for me. All right, so keep your questions coming if you have any. I mean, I'd prefer they're about Eyes of the Dragon, but I'll answer anything. Send them in. All right, hope you guys have a great day. Bye.